Imagine you're having the worst day of your life thinking it couldn't get worse, then boom. Your father kills you. As a lot of people are carrying Yukito, the crazy leader's son, leaping in the box at the start of the novel because they are superstitious and want to make him eligible for a leadership position. So, on a stormy night, he is bound in the box and taken to the mountain cliff. Yukito has endured this anguish since he was a young child. Due to his inability to last 3 days in the sea, he can be certain of dying. His father reassures him, however, that Matama-Sam, their god, will help and protect him from this danger. Additionally, each successor must complete the Musavi ritual in order to succeed as the clan leader. Yukito is attempting to persuade his father that he will die, but his father has blind faith in Matama-sama, whom he knows will cleanse, purify, and strengthen him on this voyage. As a result, he has given up pleading with his father on his behalf. He was tossed deep into the sea by other clan members. A few scenes pass before his eyes, and a clan member then takes him further. Whenever he converses with a classmate by keeping Matama in mind, he must endure the heat of the water while taking a bath. In addition, a strong tribe member knocked him to the ground to fortify him. Following so many tragic occurrences, he entered high school with high hopes, but the never-ending suffering didn't let him go. According to the entrance ceremony, a dog poop is beneath his shoes, and there is trash on his head. While watching adult films, his eyes gradually became dead. He doesn't have a single enjoyable memory. He longs for a life free of religion and God so that he can socialize with others and live a regular existence. He appears to be losing his life because his eyes are closing. When his eyes first awakened, a book about healing men is being read by the girl who is with him. With the help of the book, he has regained his wits, and she has begun pushing his rod to help him get well. The girl wants to assist him as long as it takes for him to recover fully by moving his rod back and forth for ultimate regeneration. She invites him to stop by and enjoy a complimentary supper whenever he desires. Yukito realized this settlement was a dream-like alternate reality by looking at it. He calls the Adventure Guild to learn more about the circumstances. Yukito is joyfully certain that he has been reborn and that this existence will be magical and exciting. His prior existence had also been horrible. Therefore, he has chosen to make use of and live this life according to his terms, but a Laurel might assume that he is demanding work. She then assigns him the chore of farming, which Yukito hadn't anticipated when she took him to the field. Because farming is boring for him, he is disappointed to begin a new life. Roy cautions him not to look down his nose at a rustic because he owns every girl in the community. Roy suddenly shows up and chastises him for threatening a stranger. He and Roy made an awkward introduction. After the conversation, Clen hands him a dagger and says, "I'll give you a job." Yukito is fully aware that the dagger is a typical entry-level weapon. With this dagger, he believes he can subdue the goblins, and he is prepared to carry out this task. Contrarily, when Clen brings him to the grape orchard to harvest them, his imagination leads him to believe that they are putting him to the test to see if he is capable of defending himself against a monster that only exists in his mind. He did his best to collect the grapes, but the stock is overflowing, and the increasing clan is concerned that it will go bad because they are unsure of how to preserve it. In their minds, something flashes. They now know how to prevent the waste of these grapes. They enjoy themselves with these grapes used as alcohol. In addition, Roy feels grateful to him for giving him a pricey beverage. Yukito, on the other hand, wants to bash his skull against the ground. His expectations are not being met in this situation at all. Sillery is partaking of booze. In contrast to them, Sillery is the older sister of a Laurel who values fun over labor. The following day, as Yukito was thinking about his dream while farming like he always does, he was irate that he didn't have magic, a sword, or the monster in this parallel reality. He turns to gaze at the screaming, running stranger. At his back is a massive beast. By seeing the unusual monsters in front of him, Roy disproves that he is a peculiar beast. Yukito is unsure of what to do, but Roy steps in to take the initiative. Roy releases the book, making Yukito believe he is performing magic, but Roy prefers to flee by taking the book with him. They had survived the weird creature, but he is now burned out from their preference to flee rather than face him. Roy has a justification for not putting his life in jeopardy. However, when Yukito asks whether the book is for practicing magic, the answer always causes him to widen his eyes because this book is for avoiding danger and defending oneself. Yukito is now disappointed since this planet lacks magic. When he arrives at the hotel, Laurel is already tending to his injured arms because there is no magic in this place, so the wound must be treated by hand. He then begins enjoying himself by drinking with the villagers. His imagination does not fit this alternate reality. He must pick fruit, manufacture wine, and consume it like everyone else, which is the exact opposite of what he had in mind. But he is still content there. Even still, he is content because this life is far better than the one he had before. Following Roy's defeat in the drinking contest, a liberal insists that he stay because she claims that he is the reason the villagers are happier. Actually, you and Yukito friend want to stay here. When he is lost in the forest, the setting changes. He has come to the conclusion that there is no idea of God after having lived for so many days. Additionally, there are no spiritual or religious practices at this location. When he is lost in the forest, the setting changes suddenly. He turns to face the dead animal and decides to bury him, but then a thought crosses his mind. Before he can ask what they are doing with dead people in the absence of religion, Roy and Laurel appear to have missed him when they awoke and are now looking for him here. Roy tells him about an enigmatic book that has the power to cause someone to vanish. Roy discloses that it is an adult novel, contrary to Yukito's belief that it is the book that takes readers to an alternate reality. Nevertheless, they have since moved to the imperial capital, and Yukito makes his first visit there. A little portion of this imperial palace is their village. Roy explains that this location teaches the villagers how to deal with monsters through farming and gives him wise advice to avoid talking to the villagers. Roy brings the group to the store, where he reads an adult book. Roy and the Laurel, though, are taken aback by how confidently he can read this book. They receive yet another shock from Yukito when he informs them that the artwork in question is on display in a museum. They are now doubting where he came from after being surprised, because it is illegal to do these things in this city. They have, however, also begun reading a book as they return to their home while blushing. When soldiers force someone to drink something, the person dies, and Yukino notices this and wonders why the soldiers are doing this. Laurel grabs his hand and pulls him away from the mob. She tells him that this is the end of life, when people are required to terminate their lives when the government orders them to. He is worried about his village friends after hearing this, but Roy explains that they are treated differently because they have no other choice. He diverts the conversation and departs. When you leave here, the residents of the city will express their hatred by calling you despicable and complaining about your visit to their city. Additionally, they want to keep them in detention centers. A liberal arrives at Laurel's restaurant late at night on a new Keto's bed and rushes in after getting hurt and rushing to try everything listed in the book. She wants to try it out to boost his vitality, but Yukito keeps telling her she needs to grasp the book before she can do that. When she came to her senses, she released Yukito from the rope as well. Now that she has admitted her mistake and apologized to him, Yukito asks why others dislike her. In response, you show her the sign that separates her from city residents and denotes that she is ineligible to live there. She need to be housed in a prison camp as well. The residents of the isolation camp do not adhere to national laws, such as the end-of-life system. City dwellers despise them and find it repulsive to converse with them. They have discovered that Yukito is different from them, though, because he never feels disliked while he is among them and converses, eats, or just hangs out. Having never had friends before, Yukito is happy to have them as pals. They are his friends, so he doesn't care that they are outcasts. Laurel is eager to hear more, so she inquires about the pendant glistening on his neck. He has only brought this pendant with him from his previous world. According to what his father has informed him, this pendant can act as a lucky charm. Despite the fact that he gave Laurel this pendant, she is glad to have it. He tells she should retire to her room and offers to take back the inexpensive jewelry he gave her. While going back to her bedroom, she is excited to see him. When Roy and Clem become upset over the government's choice, the scene changes, but Sillery is aware that they are powerless to stop them. Roy has chosen to fight back with them since he won't recognize their choice, and Sillery's only request is that they not harm her younger sister. Yukito too discovers the eatery is deserted the next morning. Once he steps outside, he looks at Roy, who has been severely assaulted by city soldiers, who have also used artillery to literally end their lives. They hang or behead them instead of giving them instructions on how to commit suicide. The day they will put them to death is today. They are in a hurry since the city has already hanged the Sillery and Yukito wants to act to save their lives. He brings the carriage, and both of them move to save their friends. As a result, they made the decision to force the soldier push Laurel head to the ground. Yukito too has now arrived and is engaged in combat with the soldiers, who inquire about him and the cause for which he is fighting. Yukito is furious and asks why they are being hanged when he states plainly that these are his buddies. The commander then shows up and informs him that they are abnormal people who are afraid of dying. Thus, death is their due punishment. Yukito doesn't think it's wrong to not be afraid of dying in this city. Because ending life is the truth and they shouldn't be terrified, it's a serious crime. People in the city are witnessing this massacre. The commander also believes that the emperor has sympathy for them because they established an isolated camp. He pulls out his sword and stabs Yukito, causing a hole to form in his stomach as he watches her fall to the ground while screaming angrily. Yukito pulls himself over to her and witnesses the fall of a laurel that has just passed away. He keeps hearing that Mitama-sama will save him at this very moment because he believes that these individuals are good and innocent and do not deserve to die. He attempts to have trust in Mitama-sama by gripping the pendant as he recalls his father's advice. All eyes are on Yukito, who has passed away, and she hugs him, happy that he has called her, but she soon realizes that he is not talking and that everyone around him is responsible for cleansing them. The pendant has entered the sky and his voice has reached the goddess. Lightning appears, and goddess also appears from the sun and she has landed on the earth. Everyone is amazed to see her power. She takes out the hands that have taken them deep into the earth. After that, she heals a laurel, and Yukina Laurel notices Mitama-sama hanging from Yukito's shoulders and is shocked that she is still alive, but he denies knowing her. Introducing herself, Mitama-sama explains that she has come at Yukito's request. Yukito was revived by Mitama, but because she is overpowered, she has now given life to everyone. Yukito is likewise taken aback by the fact that she is a powerful deity who has given life to everyone. Other people are watching this funeral ceremony, but they must return to their jobs without displaying any emotion. Yukito is astounded to see these deceased people who are suffering less, and he is unable to infer what their issue might be. Everyone in their hamlet is shocked to see them alive and excited when they return, and Roy tries to embrace a laurel. But she quickly moves her body to the other side, denying him the chance to hug her. Roy is now on the ground as a result. In addition, they arrived back in their village unharmed. As a result, they decide to have a party while hosting a party. Yukito is preoccupied with thinking of ways to defend this community because the imperial capital is both militarily and economically powerful. Additionally, they won't forgive themselves for these losses and will exact revenge. However, this small village is powerless to fight alongside them. Because they lack the funds, the military can destroy this village. After giving it some thought, he comes to the conclusion that Mitama is their only remaining hope as the god. Roy pours the liquid over his head to jolt him out of his reverie. They are relieved that their buddies are still alive, but they do not consider the threat that is present. On the other hand, Mitama is frantic to meet with you because Laurel won't let her because she's nude. She is pressuring the young girl to dress up so that they can meet later. But she is suffering from one thing. They don't understand the meaning of God and believe that they are in a relationship since Mitama can hug her nastily before responding that she is gone. When she hears this, she becomes enraged with jealousy and throws the clothes, causing Mitama to roll on the floor and decide to put on clothes. However, Laurel is content because, since she hasn't gotten married yet, she has the opportunity to get to know her by getting the idea. When God notices that a Laurel is so worried about Yukito, she feels happy and lays her hand on her head, urging that they continue their relationship. Yukito adores the little girl, and Laurel aspires to be a little girl. Her cheeks have reddened. Despite being a young girl, Mitama has extraordinary abilities, and Tone Sailori assumes that she can be Yukito's mother. However, she is astounded that Yukito Sal, who is much older than her in the bar, cannot be the mother of the young girl. Yukito is curious about everything because he wants to rebel against the capital city and understand how the end-of-life system works. By stating that the king and parliament established this system, Klen allays his concerns. Additionally, they must have more courage to rebel against a system that was put in place more than 1,000 years ago. Mitama suddenly leaps back and strikes him in the back. A Laurel worries about him because he might get hurt, but she shows no concern and keeps her distance. When Klan asks him about the girl, the drunken king responds that he has come here with her. He then turns to Mitama and makes a weird proposal to her after being moved by her attractiveness. Now, a literal and slurry woman wrapped her clothes around Roy's eyes and stabbed him. In addition to this, Yukito is asking about Mitama's abilities in order to seize control of the capital city. When she responds that she can defeat the entire city in a single blow, he asks if she is capable of taking down the nation's capital. A smile crosses his face. Additionally, he considers his monotheistic sect even though Yukito doesn't want to try her because this example could endanger the lives of others who aren't paying attention to him. It shows that they only believe in one god who proves to be the strongest, so he is happy to have a cheat god in this alternate world to make him believe she is going to show him a sample. She works some magic on the alcohol cup while standing next to the table. Nothing manifests with her magic without disturbing the glass. Roy must clean up this mess because only the alcohol-filled glass has fallen. Yukito is concerned about the reason her magic failed. She looks at her followers, which are currently 0, but a god requires followers in order to work magic. She is helpless if she hasn't done that. Yukito is blown up by this bomb because they are in a different reality. People will not follow her if they have no sense of God. His thoughts are unfocused. However, he is in for more trouble because Imperial Capital soldiers are looking into the incident and will actually show up here to find out what happened. Everyone's faces turned pale after hearing this. Although they are tense, Roy puts a smile on their glum faces. He tells them to believe you, Kito, because you already saved their lives by killing the troops and making depressed people happy, but Yukito's stress level has reached an all-time high because he knows he can't pull it off this time. In this conflict, he gets up from the bath and begins to take a bath. He is always considering how he will handle this predicament. Suddenly, Mitama, who has vowed not to leave him alone, joins him in the bathroom. After beating her down while keeping his rage from erupting and shocking Mitama that someone would abuse God in this manner, he apologizes but still desires a solution because he will be accountable for the conclusion. And along with this village, before they attack this village, she advises Yukito to flee, but he is unwilling to leave his friends behind. She inspires him because he has overcome all obstacles. He succeeds in everything, whether he needs to put up with the water pressure or endure the fire. Yukito admits that these events weren't brought about by him. This time, he has made the decision to take on all the difficulties and safeguard the community. He's going to rally Mitama's supporters. She can use the power and preserve their lives by doing this. He now wants to explain the altered religion that people will now practice to Mitama, who persuades Roy to join her by sitting on him. As a favor, she's begun sprinkling alcohol over her knee. She is standing so that Roy may lick the booze from his mouth. It's all in Roy's head. She is so captivatingly beautiful that he is willing to become her devotee. There is only one follower needed to defeat the capital Imperial Army. They require 1,000 followers, she discovers when she checks her status. She can then perform magic after that. She begins shouting at Yukito by leaning on his shoulder, and when he repeatedly tells her to get off, she realizes why there is only one follower. Right then, he elaborates on the level to which she has gone, but only Illiteral and Roy are sufficient to persuade them that he has chosen to use his father's speech. In addition to this, Mitama decides to use her knowledge that dates back billions of years in order to quickly persuade them to follow her in the future. To do this, she has gathered the people she claims have spent billions of years on this earth in order for them to learn from her by following her and supporting her claims. She uses Yukito as an example because she has watched him grow up, and when he first started speaking, his first word was Mitama rather than mom. She also recounts her own experience with mispronouncing vegetables. When she mentions the birthmark on his right, that is the last thing that will make you upset. In addition to this, she has urged the populace to examine themselves in order to accept the veracity of her claim to be God. Yukito is furious and orders her not to say anything, as he plans to settle this dispute according to his own set of laws. Mitama concurs as well because she lacks the ability to defeat anyone. However, Yukito has started giving speeches. Roy and Yukito are kneeling, and Mitama sits on the stone as if praying for her. Yukito elaborates that Mitama is God who has lived many years and has the power to do miracles. When she hears this, she becomes bored and begins to eat fruit, however, to demonstrate her strength. Yukito explains the difficult relationship she has with Laurel, who is beginning to blush at the knowledge that Yukito has gained access to and complete knowledge of. He also asserts that Mitama is the sole reason he is able to achieve this. Actually, it's his strategy because fortune tellers use this tactic to convince their clients, but Mitama intervenes and ruins his effective, foolproof plan. She aspires to work magic that is more powerful than this. When she learns that Yukito prefers girls who are smaller than her, Mitama demands an axe from anyone because she wants to cut down her breasts in order to make Yukito like her. She is aware that revealing her weight to Laurel will irritate her, but she did so because her breasts are too large. She is not prepared to believe Yukito when he attempts to persuade her that he enjoys larger things. Yukito didn't lose heart despite Mitama's efforts to persuade her otherwise, since she has the ability to penetrate hearts and understands what Yukito wants. By building the box, he amazes the villagers with magic. And Mitama places the types. After putting in a lot of effort, he forces Roy to jump from the roof by persuading Mitama to sit on his shoulder. This technique is likewise unable to attract the attention of the locals. They cannot acquire more adherents. Yukito is blaming Mitama, a terrible god, for everything, but she is not ready to believe it because she is aware of how stupid people are. He now understands how challenging it is to convert people to a strange religion. He recognizes that his father has done a remarkable job, which he dismisses as trash. Just as a liberal walks by holding an animal named Chilko, who had unintentionally consumed poison. Chilko is in danger of passing away, but they don't know how to help her. Yukito suggests treating her with cold chill medicine, but the capital Imperial forbids humans from treating animals. Additionally, when they are worried about her, they don't know how to care for her, which is why Laurel and Sillery have begun weeping. When Mitama and Yukito arrive at night, they are in terrible shape. However, they brought herbs that can neutralize the poison. Yukito claims that Mitama helped him acquire this plant. When they force her to consume it, she throws up. And briefly closes her eyes, making it appear as though Chill has passed away. As a result of Yukito's inspiration, everyone begins to cry. She does her magic by encircling the Chill with a lightning circle. As soon as she leaves the circle, while Mitama has fully recovered, it appears as though she has exhausted her rolling power because she has turned white. Fortunately, she has 3 followers when she checks her status. She suddenly starts to shine and is brimming with enthusiasm. Mitama replies, Yukito is surprised that she has so much power with only 3 followers. Are not your typical girls, just a little bit. Roy actually becomes her fan because of her beauty, but literal bystanders have turned into her followers out of overexcited hearts. Mitama wants to use the magic to demonstrate her strength, but Yukito forbids her from doing so. Laurel, however, has a task for her and is prepared for it. She is instructed by the Laurel to bring back to life the assassinating soldiers. Yukito, on the other hand, is opposed to this concept because they want to give their adversary a second chance. He is also aware of how dangerous the Knight Sama is, but he is unable to use it in this situation without a watch. They come to life as she works her magic. Everything is great, but a naked female is trembling since she has brought back to life. A young child has acted inappropriately this time. After viewing his state, she wants to die. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for other exciting episodes of your favorite anime. Until next time, goodbye.